You know, he's not about he has heavy punch and it's very dangerous. No, he's about how strong he is, and he's not only one punch. When he's trying to punching combinations,
Yeah.
all punches in the combinations are heavy.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. I could compare like with the Canelo. Yeah, he put all his energy, all his power on single punch.
Yeah. Canelo.
And yeah, maybe single punch sometimes he's harder, Canelo, yeah, than Better Beef.
No way.
Because Better Beef didn't
like
do
roll
like
up.
yeah, Better Beef was more like close and
compact.
yeah, compact.
Tight guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you ask them, let's do like 5 punches, yeah. Better Beef, every punch will be hard. With Canelo, maybe first hard, and then not
not so
yeah. Both of them are strong, but Better Beef is bigger and he born.
What up? Welcome to another video. Now, today we're going to talk about the recent interview. Shout out to Fight Hub. Shout out to Marcos Villegas. Shout out to the boxing community. This was a great interview. I learned a lot. This is the type of stuff I like to talk about and like to learn about. And if I ever get the privilege to talk to boxers, this is the kind of stuff I would be asking and drilling them on, because it's very interesting to me. Different types of styles and different types of methods of fighting, and I like when two styles that are somewhat similar but very different from each other face off in the ring. Two schools of thought, right? And the main thing that got my attention because of it was when he mentioned the difference between Canelo's power and Beterbiev's power, and how Canelo hits just about the same, if not harder, than Beterbiev, but with the only difference is that Beterbiev's every punch hits hard, and it's constant. It's more constant, and it continues to attack. And Canelo, he doesn't attack that much. He is not very much a volume puncher. So he's more like trotting forward, looking for openings, and trying to set you up for that big shot. That's not exactly what he said, but he simplified it in a simple manner. But if you hear what he said and then you go look at a Canelo fight and you go look at a Beterbiev fight, you kind of see what he's talking about. It brought to my attention the different types of punching and the different styles of punching and the different schools of thought within the history of martial arts. For example, in China we have Wing Chun, and we have Long Fist. I think they call it Long Fist, Chinese Long Fist. And Long Fist is very much like karate in the sense that when you throw a punch, you pull the other shoulder back. And the reason that most martial artists do this, and even boxers do it, is there's various benefits to it. Number one, it gives you more length behind your jab or behind that initial attack, right? And it keeps you in a linear angle to your opponent, so it makes you a smaller target. Number two, it gives more strength behind your punches when you do that rotation. And stepping into an angle as well is going to make that even more effective. And this is something that Bivol does. So if you look at Bivol, the way he throws his corkscrew with the pendulum, and he steps in like that, he's amplifying, number one, his reach, and number two, the power behind the punch that he throws. Even though he's not known for power, the reason a lot of these guys aren't really trying to come at him that much is because there's some pop behind it, and most of that is coming from the torque that he's generating with his hips, the step and pendulum, plus the corkscrew at the end. So these types of guys are very hard to reach. They have strength behind their punches as well, and this is techniques that have been used in other martial arts. Like, for example, like I said before, the Chinese long fist. I believe that's the name of the martial arts. And you talk to them, and they'll tell you that the philosophy is that they have one arm. But the reason they say that is because they want you to use full extension so that the shoulders will become almost like an extra limb that makes it longer, so you could reach your opponent. And not only that, you could reach through your opponent and punch through your opponent, and it'll make it stronger. And the karatekas, they use the same type of method. They're trying to punch through their opponents, and they use the same thing. They pull back with the other hand in order to get that torque and punch. And that's the type of punching that Canelo does as well. The only difference is he usually does it with hooks and with uppercuts. He's putting in that torque as well, and he's kind of slicing through his opponents. And it's the same thing, but it's just different. He's using it with a hook. Canelo's using it with hooks, uppercuts, looping, overhand rights. And in boxing, we have people that arm punch, and we have people that do full body punches or hip rotations. Like I said, the torque, like Canelo. And both of these are viable. Some people use both of them. Some people do hybrids of both, and everything in between, right? Even Canelo, he does it more than other people, but the reason some people don't do it that much is because it's tiring. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But let's get back to a little bit of the ancient martial arts. One of the martial arts that advocates for arm punching rather than full body punching is Wing Chun. And I'm pretty sure it's not the only one, but Wing Chun, and I believe Pai Mei Kung Fu as well. They're not really worried too much about range. They're not really worried too much about distance and torque, right? They're in the school of thought of arm punching. Right? If you look at Wing Chun never torques and puts it and adds the shoulders to the limbs, to the jab limb, because in Wing Chun they're worried about repetitive, constant motion forward, right? Repetitive, constant motion forward. And if you look at Bebo in this interview, I recommend you go watch this interview. He did the punches that Beterbiev did. It's similar to Wing Chun, right? The fist usually, if you look at the old school fighters as well, they're usually vertical, or maybe slightly bent to the inside, right? So why do people use this type of punching, right? Number one, it's safer. Sometimes I believe it's safer for your hand. It's very hard to injure your hand that way. There's so many benefits behind it. There's number two, it's easy to do. It doesn't take that much energy like torque does. Torque takes more energy, and you add that to the fact that Bebo has a pendulum step. But you add a pendulum step. It's pretty much you're doing suicides in there. You add that to the fact that he's using corkscrew, plus he's doing torque style punching, and he's gonna get tired within 4 rounds, and his age is catching up to him. So this style is not viable, in my opinion, for longevity. Personally, that's what I believe, unless you're some kind of phenom. But for Beterbiev, he could do that all day, every day, and he's gonna be fine. He could be old and still have that same style and still be able to do that movement. I mean, just try to do it right now. Just throw a vertical punch and just continue to do that and throw it forward. You could do that forever, and you're not gonna get tired, right? But if you're torquing with each and every punch, you're going to lose way more energy. And this is the reason why Canelo fades in the later rounds. This is the reason why Canelo doesn't really throw that many shots, because he's constantly conserving his energy because he's using too much torque. As opposed to somebody like, say, Sugar Ray Leonard, or maybe even who else? Who else is a good one? Joe Kozagi. I don't know if you guys remember Joe Kozagi and Sugar Ray Leonard. They combine the two. They combine arm punches with, big wide looping torquing punches, right? And even short torquing punches as well. And the reason for that is because they're trying to mix it up with their opponent. Sometimes it's better to do one, sometimes it's better to do the other. Sometimes it's better to do a hybrid of both, like Sugar Ray Leonard. This is, I feel like, is a better approach to it. Not one or the other. Like, for example, Bevo is a firm believer that torque should be with every jab. Every jab has some torque in it. He does the pendulum, he throws the jab, boom, boom, and then you could even hear him talking about how to throw the two. And you see him torque and push with his back foot, bah, bah, right? So that is a way of doing it, but just remember, there is energy expenditure as you do that, way more than if you're just arm punching. Arm punching takes less energy, and it's a lot more constant. Yeah, you could do it way more because it's just less energy. You could do it pretty much all day. Of course, you are going to get tired, but you're going to get less tired than with the other style. So if you notice, most of the people that use this style of arm punching, they are known to be hard punchers. Okay, so and why is that? Because, and the other thing is they get tired. They're known to get tired easy. So what happens is, like, a good trainer, you come to a good trainer and he sees that you have good power. You have good natural born power, but you fade down the stretch. So what you're going to do with your fighters, you're going to teach them how to arm punch, right? A lot of people out there are going to be like, oh, arm punching is terrible, it's horrible. But that's because you don't know what you're talking about. So the reason you're going to teach him arm punching is because it's going to allow him to last longer. And since he already has natural born power, he doesn't need to torque. He doesn't need to put his whole body into everything, every single punch, each and every time, because he already has, he already has power, natural born power. So that's why people like Benavidez, use arm punching. That's why people like Beterbiev use arm punches. That's why people like George Foreman, Big George, also arm punches. Even other fighters. There's a lot of fighters that have natural born power that really don't use full torque in every single punch, because they know they're eventually gonna knock you out because they're naturally powerful. So all they do, they go for constant punches, constant pressure on their opponents. So those are the main benefits, and those are the types of people that would want to do that. Also, if you're slow, If you're slow, you're not gonna want to do what Bevo does with each and every punch, right? You're not gonna want to do what Canelo does because Canelo's fast. That's why he's putting torque in all of those punches. Look how he knocked out Berlanga. Berlanga didn't even see the punch coming because he's too fast. So Canelo can afford to put his whole body into each and every shot, and because he knows he's gonna hit you with it, and so that's pretty much the difference between these two styles of power, these two styles of punching, and you could see it all across, the martial arts world, and you could see it, all across the boxing world and pugilistic world. And it's funny to me because there's people that advocate only for one and only for the other. When in my opinion, you should combine the two, and so you could keep your opponents guessing, or every once in a while put more torque into your punches. I have another video where I talk about vertical punches versus horizontal punches, and I talk about how you combine the two. And these two videos could pretty much go together because they're pretty much talking about the same thing. In the techniques are very useful for a fighter. One of those people that says that is actually Michael J. White. Michael J. White believes that arm punching is bad and that boxers are being trained inappropriately. So, but it's gonna. People just want to. Some people just want to believe that their way is the perfect way, and their school of thought. And I mean, the war's been going on forever between martial artists. In my school, kung fu style, snake kung fu versus eagle kung fu, karate versus kung fu, kickboxing versus Muay Thai, MMA versus boxing. So at the end of the day, it's just fighting. You're just trying to learn how to kick ass, basically. And I don't believe that there is rules. At the end of the day, it's all fighting. It's all martial arts, and it all is useful in my opinion. By the way, did you guys know martial arts? The term martial arts comes from a warrior from I think it was the medieval era. His name was Marshall Marshall. He was a real deal. He was a martial artist, a melee martial artist. So you guys should look him up. Another thing I forgot to mention is that Bruce Lee actually. This is Bruce Lee. This is an AI. But Bruce Lee actually mentioned both styles of punching in his books, and the way he would speak about it. You would hear him say, "Oh, you got to put your whole hip into it," right? In one of his interviews, and then he would also, practice Wing Chun, and combine the two, and then he would also, show the 1-inch punch, which the 1-inch punch is kind of showing, how to put your hip into it as well, but more like, in a different way, but it's still there. How to generate power from short distances is more, it's more of an arm punch if you think about it. So yeah, this is something neat that I thought interesting that I thought I should share with you guys. Yeah.
And when you do punch, now I'm leaning forward a little bit, hoping not to hurt any camera angle. I mean, you got to put the whole hip into it and snap it and get all your energy in there and make this into a